Hi everyone, this is LuxDose, and today I'm bringing you yet another WeakAuras video guide. We'll be covering updating WeakAuras and customizing them. So you guys have been asking a lot of questions on how to change the actual WeakAuras themselves and how to properly update them. So that's what we're going to be covering today in this video, so I hope you're ready. Let's get to it right now. So first we are going to open WeakAuras and I'm going to show you how to properly update them. So, currently I've updated some of my rogue, for example, the rogue one now have a different name than what it is currently online. So this new way of updating is not going to work. So I'm going to show you both way of updating. So the first way is the best way, which is the new, a new thing that they implemented in version 2.7.0, I think, or was it in 0.2? I don't remember. But this is the new way of updating a WeakAuras, and it's pretty easy to do. You simply grab your WeakAura, you right-click, and do copy URL. Once that's done, you copy the link right here, and you can see that it says the ID of the current WeakAura, the ID for the website, and then it has a slash and a number version. This is the version number 9. Make sure you copy the string, go into your browser, and paste it in. Once that's in, it's gonna let you know if you have the latest version available. So if you don't, it's gonna let you know a more recent version of this import is available. View the latest version. Click on here to get to the latest version. So this is the number 10. It's not gonna have any number because it's the most recent one. So we're simply gonna go ahead and click copy WeakAura import string. Go back into World of Warcraft, into your WeakAura add-on. Click import. Paste it in, and there you go. All you need to do now, it's going to let you know you already have this aura. It has the same name and everything, so you already have it. Do you want to create a copy, or do you want to update the aura? So right now, the only information that are changing are some metadata. So it's going to allow you to check this and do import as update. Okay, so if there is a lot more modification to it, so if, for example, I change triggers, condition, and all that stuff, you're going to see a lot more available checkbox in here. So you're going to be able to check those and make sure that everything is checked. If you did some modification yourself, for example, on the group size, you can leave that unchecked and it's not going to overwrite your current settings. So that's a very useful feature. So you can go import as update. There you go. It did the import for you. It deleted the old one and imported the new one. So this is only if you have the exact same name WeakAura. If for some reason I had to change the name of a WeakAura group, which should not happen anymore, but for example, if I want to change a patch cycle or something, this is not going to work. You simply right-click, delete children and group, and import it again, just like a fresh installation. So what I recommend doing is every time that I do a new phase for a WeakAura group, so for example, Rogue phase 2 is coming up very soon. You guys are going to be able to delete everything from the Rogue group. So the 6th group for Rogue, you're going to be able to delete them, import them again, and you'll be all ready to go. So as soon as that's done, you're going to have the good name, you're going to have the good auras, and you're going to be able to only track by copying the URL, going into your browser, and making sure you have the latest version installed. So that's the first point that I wanted to cover. This is the best way to update something. So if, for example, in here, for example, I don't have any notes on interrupts, that's because I never fixed anything. This group was just from the start, no issue there. We didn't add any need to update. Those are just for testing purposes. For example, if you're going to see, I think, in rotation, maybe not, resources, there you go. So I have an edited version. It tells you that on this date, I added the number to the energy bar. So you're going to go ahead and see, okay, do I need that? Do I want it? Yes, no, whatever. Just import it and make sure you have the latest version if you want all the changes. If, for example, it's only the resources group, you don't need to import the rotation group. I think this is a little bit easier and you don't need to re-import everything at once. So there you go. That's for updating WeakAuras. Now we're going to go into how to customize them. So how can you customize those WeakAuras? Well, first I want to say don't overdo it, because if you overdo it and you customize them a little too much, you're gonna end up having a hard time updating them. But if you want to change icon position, if you want to trigger in and out of combat, group scale, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So let's get to it. So we're first gonna start with the in and out of combat. People have been asking me a lot about that. So for example, my interrupts are only loading in combat. I want to change that. Okay, let's do that live. So I'm gonna click on the Luxtos Rogue Interrupts group. I could do this with any other group, but I'm gonna go ahead and click the interrupt groups, and I'm gonna click on the load tab. So you have a lot of different tabs for every single group. You can also customize individual aura inside the group, but I want to apply it to the whole group. So I can go ahead and uncheck in combat. So you have 3 triggers. You have, well, unchecked, which means that it's gonna always load. You have in combat, which means, well, it's only going to load in combat. And you have not in combat. So as soon as you go in combat, it's not gonna show up anymore. So that might be used for something, I don't know, like stealth related or something like that, but who knows. So let's change it to always show. So there you go. So now the interrupts are always going to show whether I'm in combat or not. You can go ahead and apply this change to anything you want. So let me show you a more complicated case. So I'm gonna put that back to in combat. So in some cases, it's gonna show like that. So it's gonna be blue and green. What this means is that not every single aura in the group have the exact same parameter. So for example, this one right there only needs to load in combat, and there you go, that fixes it, because this one was different from the rest of them. So the add-on is telling me, hey, okay, so these are loading in combat, and your first one does not have any particular preference for that. So it's letting you know that if you change it, it's going to erase all data for every single one of them for the combat feature. So if you click in combat right there, there you go. It went ahead and placed an in combat condition, a loading condition on every single aura in this group. If I click it again, now it's not gonna load in combat, and if I click it again, it's gonna load every single time. So this is how you customize those. So make sure you take note of that, because some of you have been asking a question about that. Okay, now group scaling. So people have been asking, how do I make your auras bigger? How do I make them smaller? Because on my screen, they're too big, they're too small. So I don't like the way they look right now, but I want to change that. How do I do that? It's very simple. You're going to have to do this on a group-to-group basis. So, for example, if I think that the rotation bar right now is too big on my screen, it's just taking too much space. What do? Well, you open WeakAuras, you click on your rotation group, you go in the group tab, and there is a slider called the group scale. You can simply click on the group scale. So you can click the little eye right here, the green eye. This is going to make sure you toggle the WeakAuras. You can also like show all of them, or just do the load. So load is going to activate all the loaded WeakAuras for you, and you can play with the group scale. There you go. So this is for simply resizing the entire group. So if you're blind, or maybe you just like big icons, there you go. So that's a two scales, and well, yeah, pretty small. So we're gonna put that back to 1, and you can fiddle around with that and customize them to your liking. So that's the exact same thing for example, interrupts. If I think they're a little too small on this side, well, you can zoom them in. You can group scale all of them and make sure they're a little bigger. And then you can go ahead in the display. If they start overlapping, you can click on display and change the X offset. So, sorry, not in display. Don't do that. In group. If you go in display, it's going to change individual icons inside the group, but I want to change the group positioning. So you have the X offset, so which is the horizontal line, and you have the Y offset, which is the vertical line. So if I want to change the position from left to right, I can change it right here. But we're going to go back and put the scaling back to 1. There you go. Just reset those into their original position. So that's going to be very helpful. You need to do it on a group-to-group basis, so make sure you change that up. The resources group is not really going to work, especially if you have combo points. The very small bars are very, very pixel perfect on the spacing, so you might end up having problem. You can try it out. I think some of them actually work. They tend to keep their place, but you might get some issue. But if you don't, perfect. Try it out. See what feels good for you and customize it to your likings. Just make sure to take note of every change that you made, because if you delete your group and import them again, you're going to lose all changes. So what I suggest is simply open Notepad or whatever and do like, okay, so rogue resources, I made the group scaling to 0.5 or to 1.5, and just take a little note. So if you ever need to do a major update on the WeakAuras, you know exactly what you need to change to get back to your original group scaling, positioning, whatever you decide to customize. Okay, next step is going to be changing the order. So we're going to change the order of some skills. So for example, I'm currently subtlety, and okay, so let's unload. There you go. I'm currently subtlety, and I want to change some of my rotation skills. So I have Nightblade and Shadow Dance. So Nightblade is my first skill right now, and Shadow Dance is the second skill in the WeakAuras. For example, if your bar are different than mine, so your Nightblade is right there and your Shadow Dance is first, well, you might want to change the WeakAura order to fit what your bar actually represent. So it's easier for you to memorize your key bindings and to have some logic going into battle. So I'm going to show you how to do this. This is very, very simple. You need to make sure you apply the change to all affected WeakAuras though. So just to make you understand how this is working, these are just based on the group location, and I'm setting them up on an X offset. So it's a horizontal line offset. The middle one is at 0. Those two on the side are on -58 and positive, well, just 58. And this is -116, so 116, and this is 116. So 0, -58, -116, 0, 58, 116. There you go. So if I want to change Nightblade, which is at -116, I simply need to move it to -58 to change it to where Shadow Dance is currently is. Right now it's behind it, so you can't see it, but we're just going to go ahead and trust me on this one and simply do what I'm doing right now. So we're going to change the other icon, the other aura for Nightblade, because there is 2. So you need to move both of those to the right, so to -58. There you go. And then there is 3 aura that you need to move for Shadow Dance. Currently, if this is not looking exactly like yours, for example, if you're following along on your rogue, I've been updating the rogue WeakAuras for phase 2, so these might not be exactly laid out like yours, but the logic is exactly the same. So just check for the icon, make sure they're all the same. So Shadow Dance is going to have a Shadow Dance icon for all of them, and you can simply do the modification. So you click on it, you go in the display tab, and you move it backward to -116. There you go, -116. There you go, -116. So now if I go in combat, Shadow Dance is now first, just like in my bar, then Nightblade, and then Symbol of Death. So that's going to be very simple to do. You're going to be able to change the order based on how your things are set up. So I'm going to go back and put those back in their original position. There you go. So this is a very easy to do modification. So you can pretty much change everything up. Make sure if you're on a more complicated class like Druid, they have a lot of icon and a lot of stem are stack up with one another. So make sure that you're not having issue with those, and you're not. If you ever make a mistake that breaks something, simply delete it, import it again, and try to customize it again. Okay, so this is it for the rotation group. It's actually a little easier to change the order on these groups. So when I say these group, I mean the specific group, the cooldown, the interrupts, and the utility group. Since these are not really using stacking auras, I'm using what we call a dynamic group. What is a dynamic group? Well, a dynamic group is simply a group of aura that grows. So whenever a new one is added, they simply push each other out. Right now, I'm growing centered horizontally, for example, for the utilities. So if I decide to ever do down, they're going to grow down. If I ever decide to do centered vertical, they're going to be centered vertical, but we're using centered horizontal right now. So this is the way that this is set up. And what you can do is you can simply change the order by, for example, if you don't want Cloak of Shadow, right now I'm using, my bindings is F1, F2, and F3 for Cloak, Evasion, and Crimson Vial. So if, for example, I want to change the order, if I want to put Crimson Vial first, you simply click and drag and move it up. Make sure you don't get it out of the group like this. This is going to get it out of the group, so make sure you simply do that, and you can change the order of all those skills. So this is very easy to do. It's a lot easier than the normal group. That's why they are in a dynamic group. It's way easier to customize and to play around with. So this is it for order changing. You can also change color of bars and combo points. So for example, the energy group, if you want it to not be yellow, you can go ahead and change it. Individual combo point, you're going to have to change it on all of them. And for example, I added to the combo points, I added some condition that would change the color of the combo point based on how many do you have. So in the 5 combo point setup, if you're not using deeper stratagem, for example, if you have 4 combo points, they turn green, letting you know you're okay to use a finisher without losing too much DPS. And if you have 5 of them, they go red, letting you know that if you press any more generators, you're going to lose DPS and you need to spend them right now. If you don't like those color choices or you want to add more of them, this is where you do it. So for example, if I want to add a condition for 2 combo point, well, I can just do add condition, power equal to 2, change the bar color, and that's it. Then you copy, so you go into copy settings, condition, and you paste it over into all of the combo points. Make sure you don't mess anything up. There is a lot of them. I'm using different combo points for the 6 combo point and the 5 combo point, depending if you have deeper stratagem or not. So this is going to be very straightforward to do. Some people have been asking me also how to remove glow. This is a little bit more complicated because the glowing feature is not always very easy to modify, but if you want to fiddle around with that, I'm going to show you how. But if you break anything, make sure you update again and revert to the latest version. So for example, Blade Rush, I have 2 icons for Blade Rush. So one of them is active and one of them is cooldown. So the cooldown one is going to track when it's on cooldown. And I want Blade Rush to be cast on cooldown. So I want it to glow when it's available. That's how I do things. But if it annoys you, you can simply click the cooldown Blade Rush, and there you go. You have a custom function in here. It's a bit of programming. And what I'm checking for is I'm checking for the trigger 2. So if you go in here, trigger 2, it's the cooldown progress, and it's making sure that it's not on cooldown. So if trigger 2, so if not on cooldown, then glow. Well, you can simply remove this entire condition, and the aura is never going to glow. Some of them are a lot more complicated, just like this roll the bone. So this roll the bone function is going to glow if you need to recast roll the bone. So if you have fewer than 2 or you don't have the right roll the bones, it's going to ask you to roll again. So this is going to be a little more complicated. You can simply remove the entire thing, but then the aura becomes a bit useless. So it's really a double-edged sword. You can try to customize it, but don't push it too far. Okay, and the last point I'm going to touch on is adding new auras. For example, if you want to track a trinket, so I'm going to show you how to do that. First, you're going to need to install an add-on that is called ID Tip. ID Tip is very straightforward. It simply tells you the spell ID of any abilities, talent, buff, anything you want, okay? So what we're going to do with that is, for example, I'm currently using this trinket, so the Plunder Beard Flask, okay? You can go on Wowhead and check what the use is for this trinket, this particular trinket, but you can also simply click on it and get the ID right here. So the ID is 273942. So 273942. We're just going to copy that over and we're going to add that. Okay. So we're going to go, for example, into specifics because this is where I usually place stuff. So there you go. You can grab any active aura pretty much and just duplicate it. Okay. And we're going to call it Trinket. Okay. So we're just going to put it there. We're going to call it Trinket. Okay. Usually all the triggers aura are pretty straightforward. So you can go into the first trigger. It's going to be an aura trigger. If it's not, we can do one from scratch. It's very easy to do. You just do an icon. You slide it in right here. There you go. We're going to delete this one just to avoid confusion. And we're going to do it from scratch. Okay. So these are 40 by 40. So we're going to make sure this one is also 40 by 40 to make sure it is in line with other tooltip. And we're going to paste the ID that we selected, which is the trinket that we're trying to track. This is an aura on the player, yourself, and it is a buff. Yes, you can do own only, but it doesn't really matter because it's only going to track buff on you. Nobody can put this buff on yourself. And we're going to track when it is buff. That's it. There's nothing else to do. You can make sure to load whatever. Like, don't be in a vehicle UI. Don't be in a pet battle UI, which is pretty much what I do with all these. In combat or not, doesn't really matter. And yeah, so that's going to be pretty much it. You're going to be able to also... just need to find it. Just let me... Okay, so you can do multiple things. So you can do zone ID, instance type, if you want some stuff to appear under certain condition. And if you don't want the aura to track for without having it equipped, it's going to be a little more complicated. But this is going to be the easiest way to do it. So if we go ahead and try to activate it, there you go. So it's going to track. Right now, it's not tracking the cooldown. So we need to make sure we change that to click here, cooldown. There you go. So now it's going to track the cooldown remaining on the buff. So there you go. So you need to make sure if you create a new one to make sure you check in the display tab, check the cooldown icon and click it. Because if you don't, you're not going to see any cooldown. Also, as you can see, I currently have a number showing up in the middle. And some people have been asking questions about this because they don't see the number. And the reason is either you have OmniCC, which is an add-on that changes the look of the number on your action bar. So what I recommend is that you don't use OmniCC and you let World of Warcraft default UI use its default number system. And then you go into interface action bars and you make sure to check show number for cooldown. If you don't do this, you're not going to see any number. So it's going to look just like that. So if you use ability, you're not going to see any number. And that's going to be an issue, pretty much. So you don't want that to happen. Make sure you go into your interface action bar, show number for cooldown. Okay, so you learn how to add a trinket. You learn how to update your WeakAuras, how to put them in and out of combat, how to skill them, how to change the order, and even how to remove glow. So I think this is pretty much it. If you have any other question, make sure you come see me on Twitch. I'm streaming very often, so I'm usually live pretty much every day except Saturday. So you can come check me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Luxtos. You can come check my schedule if you want to see where I'm live. You can ask question on there. You can ask question in Discord, but you can also ask a question, in the comment section down below. So if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful to you, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, come follow me on Twitch and show some support. I greatly appreciate it, guys. You guys have been amazing. The support has been insane. So I hope this little video was helpful to you. So this is it for me, guys. Good luck in BFA.